Continues to be the situation today. It's an issue which is even difficult to negotiate because it's a unilateral action of imposition. There's nothing that Cuba could give or could yield in exchange for the U.S. government to remove this base, to leave the Cuban territory, and to stop occupying a territory against the will of the country. It's an issue which is difficult to negotiate.
Your reuniting and reconciliation with the U.S. must have seen the broader Europe and Latin America changing its attitude towards Cuba. What changes do you think has been achieved so far, and what has been your quantum leaps?
Well, it is difficult to determine what led the U.S. to move in this direction now. But there's no doubt that there was an influence of the unanimous position of Latin America and the Caribbean of saying very loudly that it was unacceptable for the U.S. to continue with this hostility towards Cuba and to continue to punish Cuba. So the very comfortable environment and very friendly environment that Cuba has, Latin America and the Caribbean, must have influenced this process. In the case of Europe, we've always had relationship with all countries in Europe. Individually, and we have some engagement with the European Union. Currently, by the way, our foreign minister is in Europe, meeting with several of the leaders, meeting with the leadership of the European Union, and continuing to work to see if we can have a bilateral program with the EU, which we don't have. We have cooperation agreement with individual governments, not with the EU. So if the requirements normally established by the European Union can be met, and Cuba's own parameters and requirements can be met, and we can find a common ground, I hope that very soon we can establish a formal cooperation agreement with the European Union.
That was Cuban Ambassador to South Africa, Fernandez De Cossio, speaking to us about the path of renewed relations between the USA and Cuba. And